Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Noah, and today I'll be hosting the first episode of Young Adult Servant Life, Servant Leadership podcast, where we'll focus on discussing and contemplating the definition of social justice. First, I want to give a warm welcome to everybody viewing in the stream right now, viewing us. I want to thank y'all for coming and listening to what our two guests have to say about what they have to say on social justice. Um, in this episode today, I'm joined with Akira Funderburk and representing the perspective of the youth, and Zain Nisar representing the Islamic perspective. All right. By my side right now, I have Zain. And what I want you to do is tell me about yourself. What do you do for work in the community?
So, no, hi, I'm excited to be in this podcast. For the work I do in the community is like I help out a lot of different organizations, and here at Ilya, I'm a full-time faculty member.
Okay. Uh, why is your work important to you?
So
Like,
my work is
why?
important to me because I graduated as an educator from the University of Maryland, and my dream has always been to make a difference in the lives of youth.
Okay. 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 As you know, today's topic is about social justice. So I want you to give me your own personal definition, or in your own words, define what justice is.
So yeah, to me, social justice means that everyone deserves an equal economic, political, and social rights and opportunities regardless of race, culture, religion, or background. This affects me because as a Muslim, I feel that many individuals are influenced by media and societal stereotypes from what they see online.
All right. And how does it affect you personally and your workspace and in your everyday daily life?
So personally, I don't feel I've ever been affected by racism or anything like that.
Mhm.
I know some of my family members have been called terrorists. I've known that my mother's friend who have their scars pulled off in their head and things like that.
How do you feel about that?
I feel that in America, like we have strived to be a free country and we have strived to have freedom of religion and stuff. So I just don't feel it's right that people are imposing their views on someone else when the whole purpose that the U.S. or America was created was to have freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of a lot of things. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me or how has your faith or spiritual belief played a role in the events relating to social justice?
So my faith has played a huge role in social justice because I believe Islam is a religion that encourages justice. I believe, I guess for a reference, I read an article on ISJS website, which is Institute for Islamic, Jewish, and Christian Studies. So that article mentioned that the Islamic concepts of adil, which is justice, to place something in its rightful place, a balanced approach to all things, including life, and qist, which is fairness, equal share, and everyone has a fair share, a fair say, or fair distribution of goods, which provides a framing of distributive justice, allowing one to provide one for oneself without overindulgence. Furthermore, I also found an article on Yaqeen Institute website. So Yaqeen Institute is a nonprofit research initiative.
Mhm.
So the specific article that I'm talking about it was written by Dr. Nazir Khan. The key points he talked about in his article was justice in Islam is rooted in God's divine nature and is central to the Islamic definition of justice, which entails upholding the rights due to others. The Quran states that God does not do injustice and is a principle of Islamic theology that our quest in life is to come closer to God emulating his divine names. So one of God's names is someone who is just, right? So this is saying that it is responsibility for us to be just because God is just. Um, as social justice, Islam is best described by the Arabic term qist, which means fairness, equality in distribution, and a shared social project to ensure all members of society receive their fair share. Um, the political aspect of justice in Islam is fair governance of people according to a mutual consultation. Sorry. The Prophet Muhammad SAW praised the virtues of a just ruler. He said, "Those who rule with justice have a place in paradise." Islam encourages activism and the duty to do everything in one's power to eradicate oppression. Activism is both collective and individual's efforts. The Arabic word for injustice, oppression, and wrongdoing is called zulm, which is oppression, um, which is linguistically related to darkness. And the Prophet ﷺ compared injustice to the darkness on the in the afterlife when we're resurrected. Um, so he related to it when everyone will be in darkness before we are sent to heaven. Um, So the article also highlights the teaching of Prophet ﷺ, who instructed his followers to support the weak and spread peace. The Quran also emphasized the importance of advocating for those who have suffered injustice and oppression and encourages people to listen to the demands of the oppressed for justice and reconciliation. So a couple of other things the article focuses on is the importance of caring for orphans in Islam. They're seen as the most vulnerable members of the society and are susceptible to exploitation. The Quran references orphans multiple times and reminds the followers that they should emulate God's care towards orphans and not treat them with harshness. Um, Islam also played a revolutionary role in transforming the status of women in the 7th century in Saudi Arabia. The Quran condemns the practice of female infanticide and declared that it's a gift from God when a person is bestowed with a daughter or a son.
Mm-hmm.
The Quran also affirms that the spiritual equality for both men and women. Prophet ﷺ taught us that seeking all types of knowledge is important for both men and women. And women, many in the past, women also occupied public roles such as market advisors, supervisors, and served the community as teachers and scholars during the when Islam was first introduced.
And rounding up everything you said about the social justice, how would you, or what advice or what tips would you give to the youth?
So as a teacher, like I really want my goal is to make sure the students or my students um, fo- have good examples, have good role models. Um, so I want them to. One advice I would give them is to look at positive role models. Also, make sure that they keep an open mind. Um, they don't believe in stereotypes. They do their research and learn about their history in
Mm-hmm.
America, because in middle school, elementary school, and maybe in high school, we were all taught that the American history is all butterflies, rainbows and butterflies. But
Yeah,
this is not actually the case, right? In college, when we get to college, we see that there were a lot of injustice,
yeah,
and it's important for our children to learn this
to
injustice
know the
and be
truth.
able
Yeah.
to combat it. And stuff.
All right. Um, Thank you for your input. Uh, I would like to introduce our next guest. Right now, if she's ready, Akira Funderburk. If you would step up.
Right. No, thank you for having me.
Yep.
Sorry.
All right.
Hi.
All right. So
um,
introduce yourself. Don't be shy.
don't get shit. Okay. Okay, so Salam family. My name is Akira Funderburk. I'm a researcher, program coordinator, and developer at ILIA. Um, as a researcher, I study topics that focus on social issues that affect society as a collective mentally. Um, I then look into solutions that will guide my community, specifically for youth, toward healthy mental stability so we could gain the power of resilience that would then lead us on a path towards abundant success. This means that as a program coordinator, I come up with objectives and work with academic faculty to develop engaging youth programming that aims to educate, develop, and entertain. Um, I help promote and provide outreach locally to youth programs in Baltimore, and the list continues. I'm just responsible for a lot. So yeah.
What have you achieved, or what are you proud of about your work?
Right now, I'm working on a research paper on intergenerational trauma. Um, do you know what that is? You already know what it is.
Problems in between families and different generations. Yeah.
Okay, so intergenerational trauma is the impact of traumatic incident that individual has faced who passes down that trauma for generations.
Okay.
Um, so basically, the paper will be sharing some factors of IGT, including its statistics, each type of trauma, and 5 ways to mitigate this issue. Um, and then also the outcomes of IGT in the city of Baltimore and what is being done to decrease its effect on the community. Um, the paper concludes that establishing trauma-informed care in communities
Mhm.
to combat IGT will likely cause a positive long-term impact on the youth of Baltimore and the rest of the world.
And where can people go to learn more about what you do?
It's not out yet.
Oh, it's not
It's
up yet.
not out yet.
Okay.
No, wait.
Okay. Okay. Um,
No.
I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked Zane. What what is your own personal thoughts or definition of the idea of social justice?
So, I believe that social justice is an attempt to enforce equality among humanity. Sorry,
It's
I'm so
good. You good?
nervous.
You good?
Humanity, politically, economically, and most emphasized throughout this episode socially.
Okay. Okay. Most definitely
I'm
social.
gonna take this
Yeah.
off.
Okay. Um, share any. Do you have any knowledge on any social justice cases in Baltimore, where we are right now?
Um,
Yeah.
first case we have Adnan Saeed and Franklin. The first case was located in Baltimore County, and the second one was in Baltimore City. So, starting with Adnan Saeed, according to the New York Times, Brother Saeed, who is now 41, was serving a life sentence after he was convicted in 1999 murder of his high school classmate, um, Hyman Lee. After 23 years, the Baltimore prosecutors said on October 11, 2022, that they had dropped the charges on Brother Saeed. He was ordered to serve. Don't do it like this. He was ordered to serve some detention until prosecutors made a decision to drop the charges or proceed with a new trial within the span of 30 days. Prosecutors claimed that an investigation had pointed to two alternative suspects, although those individuals were not publicly identified or changed. There were two documents found in their trial file where two suspects claimed to do harm to Miss Lee. Um, the motion stated that the two pieces of evidence could have helped Brother Saeed at trial, but it wasn't in defense's files or in any of the pleadings that prosecutors produced for Brother Saeed. So what I got from that article is that Brother Saeed was falsely accused of murder and he was wrongly convicted. Do you have any thoughts on that?
You know. You know. about any other cases similar, or how does knowing that he was falsely accused affect you? How does that make you feel?
Um, it make me it's it make me feel. I really don't know how to feel. It's like I'm kind of desensitized
Uh,
because I'm so used to people just getting in trouble for something they didn't do. Like the system will find a way to put someone behind bars, and like that's not okay.
so we can argue that because of this, it normalizes something that isn't normal in the
Mhm.
lives of many people. Okay. Can you introduce the other case, as you said?
So, according to Anti-Defamation League on April 12, 2015, as we all know, Freddie Gray was a black brother from Baltimore that was arrested and injured while in police custody due to a spinal cord injury. Um, and then, like, because of his spinal cord injury, a week later he died. On Okay, so his death sparked an uproar in the city of Baltimore, and on the day of Gray's funeral, the protests turned violent, where fires, looting, and injuries to law enforcement took place. I actually remember seeing that on the news
Yep, I
around
do
this
too.
time. I wasn't even in Baltimore, but around this time, I was about 12, and all you saw was just like people running all over the place,
Yep.
jumping on police cars.
Chaos.
It was
Whole lot
crazy, and
of
I'm just
chaos.
like, what is going on down there? Because I was
Yep.
in Michigan at the time, so I'm just like, wow, okay. At that time I couldn't fully grasp on what was going on, but I knew it was just for justice. But I also felt like they could have approached that situation in a different way. Because I mean, tearing our city down isn't really going to do much, but I get it. I felt their pain because it's one of our brothers. So it's cool.
What was going back on what you said? What's another approach that they could have took that could have resolved? Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know because it seems like anything that we try to do to have some type of change, it doesn't happen. I feel like we aren't heard, and I feel like we're not heard on purpose. Um, so I'm gonna continue. Um, on May 1st, Gray's death was ruled as a homicide. Baltimore State Attorney Marilyn Mosby, announced that all 6 officers involved in his arrest was arrested and charged. Um, so I feel like the Baltimore Police Department and justice system as a whole failed both brothers Saeed and Freddie. It upsets me just a little bit because the system as a unit fails our community, mostly people of color. It's a repeating cycle. It's very unjust to pin a murder on an innocent individual instead of searching for the real suspects. And it's sickening how Freddie died. Shared on CNN's YouTube channel is clear footage of his arrest. His wailing and slumped over body from being tased was clear proof that he was in need of instant care. It was also shared that he asked for medical care more than once. He requested his asthma pump as well. He was also put in leg restraints, but law enforcement claimed to not know how his spine was damaged. With that being said, my community hasn't been protected for years, especially by police department. Our men are like their biggest targets for them, and I just feel like we need to do something to stop this. I don't know what, but something.
All right. So, based off everything you said, what would you say to the younger audience, or what advice would you give to the youth?
So my advice to the youth is to continue to express their mind and soul on the corruption surrounding us. Your voices really matter, and instead of wasting your energy on hurting your brother and sisters, transmit that pain to passion toward change. We are family. We are one.
Yes. Um, and last question. Um, as a young adult at your place of work, how does this play into your engagement with the youth?
Can you repeat that one more time? I'm trying.
As a young adult at your place of work, how does this play into your engagement with youth?
This plays into my job, like just engaging with you because I'm given the opportunity to lead
Mhm.
in a positive way. Um, a lot of us out here we feel stuck and we feel like we have nothing left to do. So what we do out of anger or we just do very impulsive things. And that's not going to change anything. Like you can't fight violence with violence. Um, so I just want to help them see our struggle in a brighter aspect because like just vibrate off of love and come together to fight this battle because just killing each other or just not doing anything at all, it's just like it's not gonna make no type of change. So I feel like just me stepping in and like lead and enlighten. Like, oh, I don't know if I answered that right, but
No, I get you. I do want to see the intergenerational trauma thing. I want to see that such. Thank you. Sorry for it being so short. We missed a couple guests. They couldn't come, but that about wraps up this first episode of the podcast. I want to thank you for tuning in, listening to our two guests, and on February 30th, we'll be here again on our next topic. Um, See y'all then.
love.